again!
It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hi, welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. After being gunned down last year, Arsenal is gunning for nothing but the number one spot. The team that once were termed invincibles, are they on their way back to getting some of that lost glory? What is working for them? We'll tell you on the show. And speaking of the invincible, India without Virat Kohli, can you even imagine that? That's what murmurs say that we could be missing, he could be missing in fact, from the T20 World Cup cricket squad. What are the scenarios and the reasons? And the poster girl of world cricket, a heartthrob, and the GOAT. What makes Alisa Perry so special? And is she going to be Bengaluru franchise's lucky charm this year? But before all that, a look at the headlines in Sports 360. Starting with football and the Champions League, Barcelona are through to the quarterfinals on a 4-2 aggregate. The Spanish side beat Napoli 3-1 in the second leg, and the first leg was tied at 1-1. Fermin Lopez and Joao Cancelo gave Barca a 2-0 lead. Robert Lewandowski wrapped it up for Barca with a late goal. Saudi Pro League club Al Hilal set a new world record yesterday. Al Hilal have now won the most consecutive games by a top-tier team. Yesterday's 2-0 win over Al Ittihad, the AFC Champions League, marked their 28th win in a row. They have won every game since a 1-1 draw with Damac on 21st September. The previous record was held by Welsh club New Saints, who had 27 straight wins. Austria football team head coach Ralf Rangnick has dropped 3 players from the national squad for friendlies against Slovakia and Turkey. The suspension comes after Rapid Wien players Marco Grull, Guido Bergstaller and Niklas Hedl were filmed chanting homophobic slurs following a 3-0 win against Austria Wien. Over in cricket, Indian batter Yashasvi Jaiswal won the ICC Player of the Month for February. This after his great showing against England in the Test series. Jaiswal notched up 712 runs across 5 Test matches. And India's Ravichandran Ashwin, who picked up 26 wickets in the same series, regained his number 1 spot in the Test bowling charts. He replaced his teammate Jasprit Bumrah. In tennis, men's world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz continued his title defense at the Indian Wells. The Spaniard reached the quarterfinals by beating Hungary's Fabian Marozsan 6-3, 6-3. World number 3 Yannick Sinner also moved into the last 8. He overcame American Ben Shelton 7-6, 6-1. And Indian wrestler Vinesh Phogat took a step towards qualification for the 2024 Paris Olympics. She triumphed in the wrestling selection trials in the 50 kg category. Remember, she was coming back to competitive wrestling after her protest. Vinesh, who was losing 1-4, came back to win the contest 11-6 against Shivani Pawar. She will now go to the Asian Olympics qualifier in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. Now, it is ironical that a club that is called Arsenal did not have much of it over the last few years. Again, I'm by no means belittling the greats who've donned the jersey. It is just that something did not click for too long. The club and the fans have endured more than a decade of Champions League pain and 2 decades of Premier League agony. If you are an Arsenal fan, my sympathies to you at least till now. The Premier League pain could have eased last year. They did come very close. They were dominant throughout the league for the first half of the season, but somehow still ended up losing the league title to Manchester City, the same City side that won the Champions League as well. So if you are an Arsenal fan, you would have been heartbroken. And maybe that 2023-22 Premier League was Arsenal's to lose. But it's not like it was for the first time for the Gunners. Northwest clubs in England have dominated in their rich history. Liverpool and Manchester United have halted Arsenal's success in parts. Back in the 2000s, it was Manchester United that had troubled them. But despite all that, they still managed to win the Golden Premier League trophy. A trophy given to the Invincibles. That's what they were called back then. Arsene Wenger was the manager then and was given that trophy. This was for staying unbeaten in the league and cup competitions. In the 2003-2004 seasons, Arsenal were undefeated in the league's 38 games. What a magical run that was, that many, of course, remember in awe. The run further stretched to a record 49 games, but that was a golden phase, like they say, an aberration for what followed. It was like the Invincibles were no longer the same. A trophy drought, mid-table finishes, sure, a few wins here and there, but clearly no match to the stature the Invincibles established in that period. But could that change now? Can the current season turn the tables again? Arsenal are going strong both in the Premier League and the Champions League. And the Champions League victory against Porto yesterday was proof. After the second leg ended in a 1-0 victory for Arsenal, the game went into penalty shootout as Porto won the first 1-0. The round of 16 was decided on penalties where Arsenal won 4-2, a win under pressure. The win meant Arsenal are through to the quarterfinals. That's unfamiliar territory, a place they haven't been in the last 14 years. So that win yesterday was special, and the man who made it possible, Mikel Arteta.
Well, for them to do it when the club hasn't managed to do it for 14 years, that tells you the difficulty of it. And the margins are so small, and we found a way to do it again. And I see how much they want it and how much they tried. They are able to sacrifice anything to win. And when you play like this, at the end it's going to come your way sooner than later. And it happened tonight.
That was an emotional Arteta, and he is calling it. The club is going for glory. The players look hungry for success. The same success that their predecessors had achieved. A golden run that is the template, the zenith that everyone who enters the Emirates looks to emulate or at least get close to. They're on top of the Premier League points table now and are in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So what is working for them? Well, it isn't just a strong attacking display, but it's also their strong defence. And yesterday's encounter against Porto clearly reflected that. The Gunners didn't allow Porto to get through their defence. They were even ahead in the tie after Martin Odegaard scored another goal. But the goal was ruled out as it came on the back of a foul. Still, it didn't impact or dampen Arsenal's passion and focus. And the final shot was played by their goalkeeper, David Raya, who saved them in penalties. The hero of their win. He saved 2 penalties to help his side pull through.
We've been working a lot on penalties this year because of nights like these, and it's paid off. It is a great moment. I should have saved 3, but I'm over the moon to save 2 penalties in the Champions League. It means everything. You play football for these kind of things, and I'm lucky enough to be playing for Arsenal and to get through to the Champions League quarterfinals.
That says so many things. Raya's thoughts reflects that of probably many in the squad too. They are playing for the pride of the club, and just what he said about how they're working on their penalties shows their mindset. They do not wish a repeat of last year. They are here to win. It's not just going out without any plan. And if they continue in this vein, this focus and drive, you never know, the side could lift both the Champions League and the Premier League titles, something they've never done before. And that itself will play on their mind. Can Arsenal really put that aside, put that thoughts aside and continue their good form and stay on track without letting the demons in? That will be the real challenge, because that is the only way they can end the decade-long hurt. The squad surely is capable of it, but it's that mental strength that will play a crucial role. The biggest whispers that are doing the rounds in Indian cricket circles: will Virat Kohli be absent from the Indian squad at the T20 World Cup? There are many questions that are doing the rounds in this matter. I'll list them out for you. Does Virat Kohli not feature in India's T20 plans here on? Does Virat Kohli himself feel he doesn't wish to continue in this format? What has changed in the cricket landscape here for Virat to be away from a World Cup? I'll try to answer some of these questions. Now, T20 as a format has changed. It's more dynamic, more electric and intense. The level of cricket has skyrocketed. The fact that there are so many leagues all over the world has also made this a format that has evolved faster than the other two, Tests and One-Day Internationals. The way cricketers think now has a T20 aspect to it. By that I mean it's fast-paced, it's quirky, it's street-smart. Whether it's the bowlers or the batters, T20 has made and molded the new generation. It's a different kind of cricket. Just look at Yashasvi Jaiswal, a brand new model and exponent of explosive cricket. Now, don't get me wrong here, even when we say no one is indispensable in any setup, you can't help but think there can be no other Virat Kohli. This is the same Virat Kohli who, in the last T20 World Cup, pulled off a near impossible run chase against Pakistan. Along with Hardik Pandya, he scripted a brilliant match-winning partnership. A moment that will go down not just in the chapters of India-Pakistan rivalries, but also in World Cup history.
The last one I experienced, I think, was the one at Melbourne in the World Cup last year, where Virat won it for us. That game was 120,000 people watching that game, was a sight to experience in itself. To kind of win a game from nowhere was a great experience.
This is the same Virat Kohli who was the biggest run getter in the 2023 World Cup in India. He amassed more than 700 runs in the tournament and was the player of the World Cup. And let's face it, Virat Kohli translates to eyeballs. He draws the crowd in. He works with them. He's one with them. He's electrifying on the field. He's intense. An Indian men's cricket team is pretty symbolic with Virat Kohli. So a World Cup without him in the squad is unimaginable. And what are the arguments for his presence? Charisma and skill aside, just sheer experience. Watching a Virat at the opposite end is intimidating no matter the form he's in. And we've seen what experience can do in a T20 format. You only have to ask Chennai Super Kings, who've won the Indian Premier League quite a few times. They've been mocked, been called the old man army, and they ended up winning enough titles to prove everyone wrong. Let's look at the other side then. Whose spot are you willing to forego for a Virat in your batting lineup? Well, the answer would be anyone. It's Virat Kohli. But for the sake of an argument, let's look at the potential batters India will have for the T20 World Cup. There's, of course, Rohit Sharma, the captain himself, explosive opener. Yashasvi Jaiswal, we've spoken enough about him. Shubman Gill, the future superstar in the country. Then there's, of course, Surya Kumar Yadav. Rishabh Pant is making his comeback and is really looking promising. There's Hardik Pandya, who will hopefully continue to stay fit. Tilak Verma, Dhruv Jurel all made enough noise. How can we forget Rinku Singh? What about KL Rahul? Sanju Samson waiting in the wings. The options for India when it comes to young, fiery batting lineup and in various positions are just too many. Thanks to the Indian Premier League, the flair and talent that has been nurtured is immense. Does Virat Kohli, who, yes, of course, can hit those big shots, but is more of an anchor role, still find a place in a T20 side? Take West Indies, they're masters of T20 cricket. They have a completely different setup in the shortest format of the game. True specialists who have a fixed role. Rohit Sharma stressed about the importance of that at the World Cup. And it's so much more important in a T20 format. Every player has a fixed role. But coming back to Virat and the talks of him not being considered for the World Cup, former Pakistan cricketer Mohammad Irfan has come out saying that anyone questioning Virat Kohli's place in the side belongs in gully cricket. A reference to backstreet cricket, the ones that kids play for fun. And with Mohammed Shami also ruled out of the Indian squad for the World Cup because of his injury, India missing the services of their two top performers of the 2023 World Cup is a massive blow. But here's the verdict. Here's my verdict. This is the man who has redefined cricket, Virat Kohli, fitness. Rohit Sharma recently was heard speaking in awe of the one cricketer in the current setup who has never had to go to the NCA, the National Cricket Academy. It is when you have fitness concerns to recuperate and rehabilitate. So here is a guy giving every young gun a run for their money, literally. But the question of retaining or sidelining him is not one based on merit. It's more of an ideology. Should Virat be in the scheme of things, going by where India is at? What way is Indian cricket moving or wanting to move forward? It's fair to say that maybe it's time to let the young gun step up, take charge, and go through the trial of fire. We'll see if they come out of it unscathed. Having said that, though, an Indian dressing room without Virat Kohli can't be imagined just yet. So maybe a mentor role to guide everyone through with that energy and intensity, despite his absence on the pitch. Some food for thought. Is there anything Elisa Perry can't do? She's gorgeous. You could mistake her for a supermodel, and then you realize how fierce, competitive, and gritty she is beneath all of that. The heartthrob of so many the world over is one of the most talented cricketers playing the Women's Premier League here in India. She was just as awesome at another sport too. Ellyse Perry has represented Australia in a football World Cup as well. Guess it's that Aussie blood. They just have to show the world they're great at every sport they play. But coming back to Perry, today she is an exceptional fielder, super talented batter and a lethal bowler. And she gave the biggest advert of that yesterday. The Bengaluru franchise in the T20 League haven't had much luck, whether it's with the men's team over the decade or even the women's team, as we saw last year. In the WPL game against Mumbai Indians, Perry's cameo with the bat and the 6-wicket haul has got them through to the playoffs.
Royal Challengers Bangalore and their heartbreaks aren't just restricted to men's cricket, but it transcends to women's cricket too. But when RCB got Australia's Ellyse Perry for $0.2 million and Indian star Smriti Mandhana for just over $0.4 million, everyone thought this is it. Maybe the trophy will come in the women's event. But a group stage exit in the first edition of the WPL reiterated the Bengaluru story of there but not quite. Fast forward to 2024. Season 2, and that script was beginning to replay itself. That narrow, nail-biting loss to the Delhi franchise by 1 run hit them hard. The dejected scenes in the dressing room told the story. Almost every player in there was thinking it and probably not saying it. Not again. Bengaluru were heading into their last group stage game against defending champions Mumbai Indians, needing to win to seal their place in the playoffs. And they did not just that, but in grand fashion. It was the charismatic Ellyse Perry who pulled off the magic for Bengaluru. Perry, the all-rounder, stepped up when it mattered. She bowled the best ever spell in the brief history of the WPL and her remarkable T20 career. She picked up 6 wickets by giving away only 15 runs in a stunning display of stump-to-stump seam bowling. And there was more. After restricting the Mumbai Indians to 113, Perry returned to the run chase and scored an unbeaten 40 to take Bengaluru home by 7 wickets. The win ensured RCB a playoff spot. If it wasn't for Perry, RCB would have seen another exit. Perry is often considered the GOAT of women's cricket. But when it comes to taking compliments about it, she gets pretty shy. Something similar transpired in the post-match presentation after the victory against Mumbai. Perry was introduced as by far the GOAT, to which Perry looked down to the floor and shook her head with a shy smile, and even reflected on the game and her performance. First time in the competition, I really enjoyed bowling. Sometimes I'm just getting walloped all around the ground, then some days it's like this. The ball nipped around a bit and it was fun. The games are coming thick and fast and you don't know. You turn up and have a go. I loved that partnership with Richa. It was a tricky chase, not the easiest wicket tonight. She can be humble and coy all she wants, but this is one superstar. At 33, she's showing no signs of slowing down. With 6 T20 World Cups, 2 ODI World Cups, a Commonwealth Gold, and way too many individual accolades to even recount. And what happened in Delhi on a cool evening in 2024 actually started years ago in a kitchen miles away in Sydney. Perry used to follow her brother Damien, trying to do whatever he was up to. And when Perry's father was teaching Damien how to bowl in their kitchen, Perry wanted to learn that too. From then on, there was clearly no looking back. And Perry's legacy isn't just restricted to the cricket field. She's the only player to have played a Cricket World Cup and a FIFA World Cup too. She has a massive fan following amongst cricketers as well. A poster girl and clearly one of the best the sport has seen. So it isn't surprising that Bengaluru's hopes this year lies on the lady who can do absolutely anything.
Time for last serve. We're leaving you with something a little offbeat today. Now, usually it's some striking visuals or some mind-blowing stunts or even the heartwarming stories. Today it's what a cricketer said about his captain. Indian cricketer R. Ashwin took to his platform to talk about what happened when he had to fly out in the middle of a match to tend to his mother. Ashwin says Rohit Sharma is the kind of captain that anyone will give their life for. That wraps up First Sports here today. Thanks for joining us again. We'll see you tomorrow.